Well, hey, so I'm going to record an episode of the Greenroom Central podcast all about how to sell your event on Instagram. And I thought it would be fun if we hung out together and you can watch behind the scenes while I record. Sound good? So drop your comments and questions in that comment bullet box as we record, and if I see one pop up that makes sense to answer in the podcast, you can be featured. How about that? All right, cool. Let's get started. I thought it'd be so fun today to talk about how to sell your event on Instagram, specifically Instagram, because I love the platform and I see so many people promoting their event on Instagram, and some stuff that looks phenomenal and is working, and some stuff that I'm like, that's not going to work. And so I thought, well, gosh, wouldn't it be fun if we talked about what makes selling on Instagram take off, selling tickets there, and what should you work on, okay? So this is going to be so fun today. We're going to talk about how to sell your event on Instagram. And I've got some exciting suggestions, strategies to help you figure out what kind of posts to make and then how to drive engagement on those posts about your upcoming event. So let's get into it. The first thing I want to talk about is what to even post. And the way I want you to think about it is this. I know when you and I all started business, we learned about a sales letter, a long form sales letter, and how that looks as a sales page to sell your digital course or your mastermind or your membership, right? That is not a foreign concept to us. So, and then you also learned how to create a webinar, for example, right? And depending on who you learned it from, you might have learned that you take the sales letter and you turn it sideways and you make the webinar. The term sideways sales letter, have you heard that? Well, I bring it up because it is extremely applicable when we think about what to create for Instagram, is that sideways concept. If a sales letter is vertical, kind of all stacked, and you get everything at once, and then you turn it on its side and it's a webinar and it's a little bit more horizontal on a timeline, well, what I want you to think about is take that kind of horizontal format, that sideways sales letter format, and then chunk it up into all these little bits and pieces. So you and I both know it takes a lot of different pieces of evidence stacked up in order to get somebody to the point where they're ready to buy. Or even if it's a free event, to get them willing to register and dedicate their time live to showing up, right? And those are things like scarcity, like urgency, fear of missing out, who it's for, who it's not for, testimonials. You following? Yeah. So all of that stuff, all of those little bits and pieces, those little evidence, create like an evidence file in our potential guests' brain on, is this going to be for me, and should I commit to showing up live and dedicating my precious time to this thing? And of course, when we're on Instagram, we are not going to be able to deliver all of those pieces all at once. We can't go all long form sales letter or full 60 to 120 minute webinar on them. I mean, of course, yeah, go live and do that if you're doing a webinar to sell your event, of course. But when we're talking about how to post before the event, in the months leading up to it, what does that look like? Well, it looks like taking all of the bits and pieces you put on the sales page and that you put into the webinar, and identifying what those little bits are, and then like plucking them out and making individual assets for Instagram on each of those pieces. So let's take an example of testimonials. So you'll take, if you have a sizzle reel of testimonials or even individual singular testimonials, you make a reel on each of them. And then after you've made a reel on each of them, why don't you go make a video carousel on each of them? And then go make a text-based carousel, pulling out a key quote from each person. And make a text-based, image-based carousel on that. And then go make quote cards with their face on them and make them as static posts. So you just see there how you've got all of those assets created from that one category of testimonials. And then go do the same thing for who it's for and who it's not for. And then go do the same thing for talking about takeaways, what they're going to get, the benefits, not the features, right? And so now you can see how your repository of assets that you can cycle through in the months leading up to your event grows and grows and grows. And that's just talking about kind of all those little pieces about selling the event from your sales page or from your webinar, those key components of bonuses that kind of speak to that urgency, scarcity. You could be talking about how much time is left to register, or how many seats are left in the room. So I hope this concept of the sideways sales letter, if you will, and creating individual asset groupings about each of the ways that each of the little pieces of evidence that you would be giving when you would be selling the event in a longer format, like your sales page, like a webinar. Okay? I hope that helps. Those also can go into a story highlight. So you could post a mini version of the webinar in different, individual story posts, and then save that series that kind of gives the full picture on selling the event into a story highlight just about the event. And then it's as if people are going through a mini 5-minute webinar about the event in your story highlights. So I love that. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is how you're going to drive engagement on all of those assets that you just created, right? And I want you to think about it. You have to work the Instagram algorithm, right? to your advantage. And so right now, that means that when you're posting about your event in your stories and you're wanting to drive traffic to the event registration page, it means don't put the link in there using the link sticker. It means asking people to comment or send you a DM asking for the link to the registration page, and tell them you'll send it out to them, because it's better to have those comments and those DMs than it is to have people clicking a link sticker. And most people won't click the link sticker. You'll get higher engagement off of asking for that DM, or if you're in the feed, asking people to comment below with a certain word that will then you'll know to send them the link to the registration page. Another thing to think about is leveraging a bot during your event cycle, sales cycle, a bot like ManyChat, to send out the links to your registration page for your event automatically on your behalf. So you can set it up so that you come up with a keyword that that sounds like that relates to your event, and you can have your CTA at the end of a reel say, hey, drop the word event below, and I will send you the registration link. And then you can set it up in the ManyChat to have anytime someone comments or DMs the word event, and it'll automatically send that link. And it's just good customer service, right? To have it fast as soon as somebody wants it. You can also leverage ManyChat, and this is especially helpful if you're running a free event, to send a ticket into their Apple Wallet. Wouldn't that be cool, right? It just feels even more elevated and cool to have that ticket land in there. You can use the bot to get them their name and email, and then send them out that ticket to add to their Apple Wallet, all via that bot automation. So be thinking about all the different ways that you can leverage a call to action inside of each of those assets that you create from your sales page or your webinar, and go ahead and make sure there's a CTA at the end of every single one of them, asking for people to tag a friend that they want to go with, to DM you for the date and location, to have you have them comment below with the word events so they get the registration link. Just start getting really creative with a dozen ways that you can ask people to engage with your account, with that post, and at the same time start identifying the people that have done a little hand raise, so that you in the back end can have your team in your Instagram account connecting with them in the DMs and getting them more information about the event, and hopefully turning those engagements in the Instagram platform into event registrations, because that's our goal, right? Now, I have a guide. It's 107 ways to filling events, and I want you to pick up a copy of that over at fillingevents.com, because there's a whole bunch of things in there that stuff that we're not going to have time to get to in today's episode that will help you in your brainstorming about what other types of assets to create for your event. Stuff like all the different ways that you can create short form video to promote your event, all the different ways that you can leverage guest speakers to be creating more assets to promote your event, even silly things like how to talk about how you're getting ready for the event, whether it's unboxing swag, or it's looking through your closet to figure out what you're going to wear and setting out your outfits, or it's putting together your slide deck and showing people kind of a behind the scenes of what that looks like to get your presentations ready. There's so many things, and so go grab that over at fillingevents.com, because it's going to help. It's really going to help you and your team come up with a plan and be able to work the plan and feel confident about it. It really is, at its core, getting butts in seats is all about coming up with a plan and working the plan consistently. And it's coming up with so many different ways to talk about your event over time, right? Over a long period of time, so that you can get it filled. And I know you've got it. So remember today, 2 things I want you to take away. First, instead of thinking about selling your event all at once, at one point in time, when you're on Instagram selling your event, it's going to be more over a longer period of time, weeks, months, and you're going to take all the components of your long form sales page for the event or from your webinar, and you're going to identify all those little slices of ways that you are selling, and create static posts, create carousels, create video carousels, create reels, create stories, put them in a story highlight, all the things with a definite emphasis on reels. And that is how you're going to approach posting about your event on Instagram. And secondly, you're going to focus heavily on driving engagement by coming up with very event-specific CTAs, whether it's bring a friend, secure your spot, grab your seat, DM me for the details, comment below for a free ticket, all those ways, and making sure that you're including one of those call to actions in every single post that you make about your event. So you don't leave any person from your community behind who might possibly want to attend. All right, I hope this has been helpful. If it opened up more questions than answers for you, will you drop your question into my DMs on Instagram, and I will commit to helping you out. All right, thanks for hanging out today. Take care. Okay, y'all, I hope that was fun. I hope you enjoyed hanging out together while I recorded that episode about how to sell your event on Instagram. I want you to comment below if you're watching the replay and let me know your questions, and I will make sure to get them answered for you. All right, take care. Make it an outstanding rest of the day.